W.A.S.P. 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 Wait, no, not that W.A.S.P. Started in the early 80s, still going on today. Last album they made was in 2015, so they're decently active. I hear at some point they're making another album. And you know what? Their discography all around, I think even their worst album has like at least one good song on it. And we'll get into that later, obviously. But they don't really have too many bad moments. I know other people who are not a fan of like glam metal and all that will say otherwise, but as a person who does like glam metal and some glam metal bands, I do think Wasp does have a lot of great moments, even in the worst of albums. But I don't want to ramble on too much. I want to get into this ranking. This is also, by the way, new editing thing I'm gonna try to do. This is a new way of editing. I'm not a fan of looking at my face, you know. Uh, but yeah, I'm gonna start this ranking, and let me know your ranking in the comments. Anyway, let's start with number 15. Hell Dorado, easily bottom of the list. Jesus Christ. I don't think I've heard an album more boring than Hell Dorado. The only song I can really remember is the title track, and it's decent, but the rest of the album is like them trying an AC/DC thing, sort of. Like they literally got a song called "Dirty Balls," which is like probably one of their worst songs by far. If it like I don't know, like I wish I could think of other songs from this album, but I don't remember. It is so forgettable. Besides the title track, which is like a 7. I really wish I had more to say about this album, but I really don't. I can't think of a single other thing other than this album is just boring, and they've just done much, much, much better. Okay, next album.
Oh, thank you very much.
Alright, so this next album and the Hell Dorado are like not even close to being neck and neck. They're pretty far apart from each other. Babylon is pretty average overall. I mean, it's got like Godless Run, which is a really good ballad. Babylon's Burning is pretty decent. The first song, Crazy, is a pretty good opener. Then you got Burn, which is like a cover of the Deep Purple song. I never really cared for their covers, and that's just my personal opinion. Especially the last track, Promised Land. That is the worst thing they've ever put out by far. Honestly, tried to do the rock and roll. It's an Elvis cover. Well, actually, it's a Chuck Berry cover, a la Elvis, and he tried to do the Elvis like inflection. It's I don't like it at all, honestly. But like, yeah, like I said, Godless Run, Crazy, and Babylon's Burning. All three of those really good songs. It's just, yeah, it ends on a whimper. Let's move on to the next one. Still Not Black Enough is an interesting album. So, like the previous album, The Crimson Idol, it was going to be a Blackie Lawless solo album, and they put the W.A.S.P name after to, I think, sell better. Wasn't quite sure on that. The album's very personal, and you can tell that by the lyrical content on most of the tracks. A lot of them being about like current issues with Blackie Lawless's life, like his mother's passing away, and like what's going on in the world at the time. But not all the tracks are like that. Like Rock and Roll to Death, Goodbye America. It's those two songs are kind of like a throwback to the early '80s where they weren't making very lyrical, heavy songs, which I'm fine with that, but they're not my favorite from the album. I gotta say though, I love Blackie Lawless's ballads on this album. Keep Holding On is just like a very sad sounding ballad, and it's probably one of my top 5 ballads of his. I'll get to know later that the ballads are probably the best songs I like from this band. You'll see later. But other songs I like are Scared to Death. I love the title track and A Way Out of Here. All have pretty good groovy moments. But other than that, this album's kind of okay. It's pretty average. The rest of the songs I'm not very big fan of, but the ones that I did mention are really good. So yeah, that's all I gotta say about Still Not Black Enough. Let's move on to the next album. 9/11. Okay, so just because Dying for the World is number 11, ironically, does not mean it's a bad album. This album is pretty fucking good, actually. Hollowed Ground, which is about 9/11. God, what a sad, sad ballad, and such a good freaking guitar solo towards the end of it. I urge anyone to listen to that. God, it's such a good ballad. It's just really strange for them to have the song twice on the album. Like, there's a take 5 version on a acoustic take. Having that on the album instead of like a bonus track is kind of strange, but that's a good version as well. I still prefer the original version though. And also Shadow Man, that starts off the album, is also really fucking good. It is one of their better album openers, to be honest with you. If I were to like have a critique on this album, it would be that Torso is not a good song. Also, it's like way too short. Rubber Man is eh. A few other songs are kind of eh. I don't have too many complaints, and it's gonna be hard to kind of pinpoint complaints going forward. But yeah, that's what I think about Dying for the World. It's a really good album, but they've done better. Yeah, let's move on. So Neon God is two albums, but I'm gonna talk about them both at the same time because they're basically a double album and it's one big concept album. So yeah, that's why I'm doing it like this. Basically, a concept album about an orphan that has the power to read minds and manipulate them. It's cool. It's a cool concept. I like it. Did it need to be two albums long? Probably not. You could probably like erase a whole bunch of these songs and you could have told the story in like one 70-minute album. But two 40-minute albums making like a 90-minute album is fine, I as well, I guess. But really, there's a lot of filler on these albums. I'll damn tell you what. But there's a lot of good moments on these two. The first of the two, Neon Gods, is my favorite because it's got Raging Storm on it, and woo, that's a good closer. There's a lot of other good songs on there, like Asylum Number 9, um, The Red Room, and The Rising Sun, which has a nice little nod to Tomorrow Never Knows by the Beatles, which is like one of my favorite Beatles songs. And normally I don't like little nods like that, but W.A.S.P. I'll accept because I like when they do that. The Neon God Part 2 doesn't have as much perfect, awesome moments on it as Part 1 does, but what it does have is the 13.5 minute The Last Redemption to end the album off. This is definitely their second best closer and second to the best one coming up at number one, obviously. But overall, like I said, there's a lot of good moments on these two. But again, it's way too fucking long. Like again, I would have been okay with a 65, 70 minute album ish, but sure, if you wanted to make it a double album, you should have just made it a double album, not like two different albums that are basically the same album. So yeah, that's what I have to say about the Neon God. Let's move on to number 9. I'm in danger. Okay, so I can explain. Despite this being at number 9, this has a lot of really good tracks. It has Wild Child. If you know a W.A.S.P song, it's bound to be Wild Child. It's got Widowmaker on it. I love that ballad. The entire first side of this is really good. But then we get to the second side, and how do I say this? Cries in the Night is the only song I actually care about on the second side. Blind in Texas is also really good. But Sex Drive, I don't care. I don't care for that song. I am sorry. I know a lot of people might like that song. I really just don't care for it. I think this album ends on a pretty big whimper. But that entire first side is like almost basically perfect. You got, again, Wild Child, Fistful of Diamonds, Jack Action, Widowmaker. Mwah. Great songs, especially Widowmaker. I love how good of a ballad Widowmaker is. And Fistful of Diamonds is pretty underrated as well. Jack Action might be my least favorite from that first side, but still, really good album. I wouldn't call it a sophomore slump, but I have my complaints, and it sucks that it's this low. It's mostly personal preference on why it's like 9. Anyway, let's move on to number 8. Unholy Terror is a really good step up after Hell Dorado and how boring that one was. If not for those last two songs alone being Evermore and Wasted White Boys. Man, is Wasted White Boys a good fucking song. It's 7 minutes long and it ends the album off with an amazing guitar solo from Holmes, man. And if it's one thing I like, it's Holmes' guitar solos, man. They're so good. I also really like the song Charisma, and the album is full of really good lyrical content from Blackie Lawless, which definitely was missing in the last album. However, I will say Who Slayed Baby Jane, Euphoria, and Ravenheart are ass ass songs. They're okay, but they're like definitely not the best and they're just not, but they're not the worst either. They're just okay songs. Other than that, this album really good return to form, and they kept doing this for quite a while until Babylon, which was ultimately a disappointment for me. So, I would come back to especially Evermore and Wasted White Boys because they're my favorites from the album. But yeah, this album's pretty sturdy. Let's move on to number 7. KFD stands for Kill Fuck Die, and it is their second best album from the 90s. This album tends to get a lot of hate from people, and it's pretty understandable on why. It is not glam metal, it is industrial metal, and it really depends on if you like that genre or not. And I do. I love industrial metal, and I love the way that W.A.S.P actually handled this genre, and even what Black Loss has said is his most creative album up to this point. In fact, this album's pretty cohesively good. I don't have too many complaints other than the song You being eh. And but this album is cohesive otherwise. Few songs I like are The Horror, obviously, the 8 minute epic at the end of the album. I like the song Tortured Eyes. I like Kill Ahead. I like the title track on the album. This album is pretty cohesive. If you don't like it, you know what? That's completely fine. I can completely understand why people would hate this album. It is very, very weird. But trust me, glam metal bands have tried to do this sort of thing. I'm looking at you, Motley Crue, and they failed. But W.A.S.P. I think did a pretty good job, and it's probably their heaviest album. Honestly, it's bone crunching heavy. It is hard to listen to this album because they don't own the rights to it, and it's not on their streaming devices. So you gotta like listen to it on YouTube as like an upload by someone else. Other than that, really good album, very underrated, and their most underrated album, honestly, if I have to be honest with you. That's pretty much all I have to say about Kill Fuck Die. But yeah, I would re-listen to this. Let's move on to the next album. After the duology that was the Neon God, Dominator is such a huge breath of fresh air. I think I'm gonna get my complaint out of the way in that Deal with the Devil and Heaven Hung in Black reprise or reprise, whatever you want to pronounce it. I feel like those two should have been switched up and have the reprise to be the closer of the album. That is my only complaint. This album's pretty gray all around. I mean, Heaven Hung in Black is the best ballad that the band has ever done. It is beautiful. The lyrics are great. The sound, the song, overall, really great. Mercy and Take Me Up, both really good, hard driving songs that just make you want to bang your head. Burning Man is the only song I'm not too crazy on. Um, I don't have really that many else other complaints about this album. It's an all around great album, and again, a big breath of fresh air after the Neon God, because those both are just way too much. So yeah, moving on to the top five checkpoint, where basically just me telling you thank you for if you made it this far into the video because and listening to me ramble on about music I like. If you do like that stuff, please hit the like button and subscribe even if you want to. There may not be a lot of support, but I love the support I've been getting, and I'm very grateful for the people that have watched these videos. But yeah, enough of me thanking everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, now enough of me thanking everybody. Let's move on to number five. God is good. God is great. God is good. So number five is Golgotha, which is their last album up to this point. What's different about this album is that it's a CCM album, which is Contemporary Christian Music Movement. So this is a Christian related album. What do I think about that? I don't have any issues with it. I'm not Christian myself. So yeah. I'm not gonna rate this low because it's a Christian related album. That's just asinine to me. Um because overall the music on this is actually really good. His vocals even today sound superb. And it's just ridiculous that this is their last album and it's been 31 years since the album of their debut album, and he still sounds great on the mic. The title track Golgotha is second to the last Redemption, their best closer, because his vocal performance and the final guitar solo on the end of that track is just it's amazing. It's beautiful. Like, come on, if you don't have the time, listen to that track. I also like the song "Miss You." I think that's a really good ballad. I think the song "Eyes of My Maker" is a really damn good track as well. My only complaint is that an album of this type might be a little bit too long because it's like 55 minutes, and there's like one song I'm not too crazy on, which is "Hero of My World." But other than that, I have no complaints. The rest of the album is really good. Hero of My World probably could have been cut though. Yeah, that's all I need to have to say about Golgotha. As good of an album it is, it's still not. I still got 4 albums above it. So let's go talk about those.
Welcome to the amazing
Electric.
circus!
Electric Circus often gets overlooked by the albums that came before and after it, but I think it's better than the sophomore album by a little bit because cohesively, this album has a lot of more songs I actually enjoy. It's got a cover of "I Don't Need No Doctor" on it, a la Humble Pie, because it's not their song originally. But that's a good cover, and the Easy Living cover, the originally by Uriah Heep, is also really good. And this is rare because they don't do a lot of pretty good covers, no offense. The only song I'd really skip is Shoot from the Hip, but it's not really that much of a skip. It's just the weakest song on the album in front of a whole bunch of really, really good songs. I like I'm Alive, I like Restless Gypsy, I like Sweet Cheetah, I like King of Sodom and Gomorrah. It's just a good time throughout the entire thing. It's really, really underrated. It's the lowest rated song from an album from the 80s that they have. And it's such a shame because there's a lot of good songs on here. Um, yeah, that's all I have to say about Inside the Electric Circus. Let's move on to number three.
I like this new generation of music. Mother of God.
Number three is W.A.S.P's debut, and it's understandably a lot of people's favorite W.A.S.P album. It's overall a very easy listen. Fuck Like a Beast, Love Machine, I Want to Be Somebody, School Days, Sleeping in the Fire, which is my personal favorite song from this album. There's not a bad moment on this album, really. It's the most cohesive album they've ever done. With these, I'm trying to think of weaknesses. I don't have many weaknesses for this album. If I had to say one single weakness I have about this album, On Your Knees is at most an song. but like it's not a bad song. It's just my least favorite from the album. Otherwise, near perfect album, and it would be my number one if not for the top two. Which the top two was easy. If you know what number two is, you automatically know what number one is by process of elimination. So, without further ado, let's move on to.
So no head?
So yeah, the Headless Children is number two. Wow. Well, okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is start out with the only weakness this album has, and that is the song "Man Eater." Not a fan. It sucks. The song itself doesn't suck, but it ruins the momentum of the rest of the album because the rest of the album is really good, and that one is just kind of like okay at most. Now, with that aside, let's talk about the Headless Children. So, after Inside the Electric Circus, the band was like, why don't we actually start changing our lyrical themes from something lewd and immature to more thought provoking and political? And yeah, this album is such a good change of pace. And no offense, but yeah, once you start like doing the same lyrical stuff over and over, your act will definitely eventually become stale. And yeah, they made the right decision, talking about stuff that was very much relevant around the time of this album. Yeah, this is leaving the 80s kind of album with songs like The Heretic, Thunderhead being about like I'm pretty sure Thunderhead is about drugs. I'm not quite sure what Heretic is about, but both of those songs very very heavy actually. This is a heavy album. Mean Man is about the guitarist John Holmes. I love the cover of The Real Me. There's so many good songs on this album. Uh, Rebel and the FDG, really good song as well. It's really hard to find words on how much I actually like really enjoy this album. If it weren't for Anteater, this album would be perfect, and it would honestly be my favorite album from the band. But we got one more, and if you know what number two is, you automatically know what number one is. So let's talk about. I mean, what did you expect? This album is perfect in like almost every way. I know you might say like, "Oh, this is just a Tommy knockoff," or "This is just a freaking Quadrophenia knockoff." You would be correct to say as such, I guess, because there's no way that Blackie Lawless didn't get any sort of inspiration from the Who. You can just tell by listening to the way the drums are and other sort of stuff. But that doesn't make this album any less awesome. It is his best songwriting by a long shot, dude. A rock opera that follows the story of Jonathan that is estranged and not loved by his family, who eventually becomes a rock star. No spoilers, but it ends on a downer. It is a very sad album, and it's got a lot of really good songs. Chainsaw Charlie, The Idol, and my favorite Wasp song, The Great Misconceptions of Me. I don't know what else to say about this album that hasn't been said already. It is a very good concept. It might not be my favorite concept album, but it is up there with one of my favorite rock operas, concept albums, and such. Because my god, this album is a banger. Please give it a listen. But if you were to listen to any Wasp album, if you've not heard a Wasp album before, it would be the debut. It is the easiest to listen to out of all their albums so far. So that's what I have to say about the band Wasp. Are you a Wasp fan? Have you heard a Wasp album? Do you want to become a fan? Let me know if you like the band and why you don't like the band. If my ranking is not up to your liking, tell me what your ranking is. Please leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. I am working on a 3-part series for an artist eventually once I get done with listening to all their albums. They got 60 something albums, and it's gonna be a 3-part video. And yeah, I hope you guys like that one when that comes out. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. See you guys in the next video. Bye bye.